And joining us now are Stefan Baumans, who is the President and CEO, Celine Brunet, who is the Vice President of Finance, and also Farron Fleury, Plant Manager. Welcome to all of you. Thanks. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
First off, I'm sure a lot of people are probably wondering about your company name. A bit unusual, a bit unconventional. Is there a story behind it?
Yeah, there's a story. We purchased the company, 5 people. In fact, it's a management buyout that we made in 2008. I'm talking about the Canadian company. Mm-hmm. And then we have created the US company 1 year later. But when we create the company, we want to give the message that a management buyout by the employees and the senior management of the company is possible, and we want to have an historic of that, a reminder of that. So we elect to choose the name of the 5 people, the first letter of each name. So okay. There's Brunet, there's Baumans, there's Brosseau, there's Croteau, and there's Ginta, and it's so 3B, okay. 3 times, and C and G, and J, right. That's it.
And that explains it then. Yeah. Your roots are in Quebec. Tell us about your company's history, why you decided to purchase the company that you were with previously, and the decision to then cross the border and open a plant here in Northern New York.
Yeah, well, the company exists before we decided to buy it. I was personally in the management of the holding who was owning this company. Celine was with us too, and another one was there. And the 2 operator of the company, of the harnesses company in Montreal was Brosseau and Croteau, our 2 other partners. And the group decided to sell the company. And we were ready to, when I heard that, I say, hey, I know people who were interested to buy it, and we all get together, Celine, me, and everybody have his specialty. She's the CFO, I'm the, everybody have his own task, and we know that our team will be really able to handle that, and we like to purchase. We built a business plan, and we made the financing, and in 6 months it was it. We buy the company.
So the previous company, Trident Cable, did they manufacture the same thing you folks do?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We actually bought the company, but it was more or less the same companies, same suppliers, same customers, the whole thing. We just took over the company.
But at that point you were only doing business in Quebec
That's
and
right.
Canada.
That's right.
Yeah. And then you looked at the US market and you said there's potential there. Was this after Nova Bus had opened here, because you were already doing business with Nova Bus in Quebec?
It's related. In fact, what we are doing for Novabus is very strategic. We are really a partner, long-term partner. And in fact, when they opened the plant here, they really asked us if we are willing to open the plant as well. And that was the very first, when your big customers say, do you wish to come here? And it was a good thing, because the US market was huge for us. There was a lot of good reason to do it. What we didn't know, what is Plattsburgh? We know nothing about the people, so we have to make a move. But basically, it was to follow Novabus at the beginning.
And they had to meet different Buy America Act requirements, so that's more or less why we followed them here. They needed actually a U.S. supplier. Yeah.
And so you literally set up shop next door.
That's
if your biggest customers
from scratch.
Just the same in Quebec. We're very close to Novabus, more or less a mile away. Yeah.
And then you brought Farron in to manage the plant here in the United States.
Yeah, at the beginning, the plan we had at the beginning was to say we to open it with one of our guys, Quebec guys, for a certain time. But our goal was, it's not a subsidiary of our Canadian company. It's a sister company, and we wanted like a standalone company in Plattsburgh, and another stand-alone company in Canada, and so at a certain time it was already decided to have a U.S. managing team, and Farron is the first one of this U.S. managing team that and at a certain time we decided, okay, that's the time we replaced the Quebec plant manager by a real guy of the place who knows business, and the reason is very simple, that at a certain time it will be a total U.S. standalone company.
Right now you have 60 employees here in Plattsburgh?
Roughly 60 employees, and that's one of the things that attracted me to B3CG as a company initially, was the plan for growth and the plan for growth in the U.S. When you look at along with the culture of the company and the work environment, the way that the employees are treated, those types of things. That's a culture and growth environment that I was really looking for, as for my personal career, and when I look at B3CG, we've just hired a sales resource for the U.S., and we have a plan to grow in the U.S., to be our own standalone company, and I think we're on that path, and we'll get there at some point, with the growth from Novabus and with the growth from other companies as well.
And I cut you off. You were going to make a point after Stefan.
No, I was saying just the same as Fern, as we still have shared services between Quebec plant and here, but the goal is to have a completely independent division here in Plattsburgh. Yeah.
So Novabus is your largest customer.
Yeah, definitely.
And as we saw in the piece, for Novabus, you create a lot of the electronics. I would imagine this would be the control panels.
All the electrics, the harnesses, the main panel, all the wires, except high tension, the motor, the battery cable. But that's not a big.
It's a small part of it.
Yeah, it's a small part of it. All other we are doing it, and one thing, we discussed that, Celine and me. For us, the challenge when we come in Plattsburgh is our business is very human. It's people. The asset of the company is people. There's no equipment, sophisticated equipment. There's few equipment, but we rely on people.
It's very labor intensive.
Yeah.
Our business is
I
very
think a lot of people would think in this day and age that if you're talking electronics, and very sophisticated electronics, that so much of that would be automated. But the overwhelming majority of the work at your plant is done by people by hand.
To put it in perspective, I have roughly 60 employees. I have 5 machines, and that's a good way of looking at it. That kind of gives you an idea of the amount of how much we put reliance we have on our employees to get the quality product that we do every day. When you think about a bus, you think in terms of the wiring of the bus. There's nearly 4 miles of wiring in one bus that we produce every single day. Mostly done by hand.
And the good news for us is that people are great.
Yeah.
What about the skill set for the workers? Can you find a talented pool of workers here that can do this work that you need them to do?
It's mostly in-house training. We don't have a lot of requirement of skill, except good skill with the
you have to have a bit of dexterity. You have to have fairly good vision.
Yeah.
Other than that, if we're looking for people who have it, have it here. Looking for people with good attitude. People who want to take pride in what they do, what they can make with their own hands, and leave at the end of the day being proud of the job that they've done, and who want to work in a nice, clean environment, a good working environment.
Do you look for people experienced in manufacturing, or do you look for people right out of school with backgrounds in possibly electronics or something like that?
No, most of the people that we hire don't have any manufacturing experience whatsoever. We do if somebody comes to us and say, well, I've gotten some assembly experience, or I've worked in a warehouse. I mean, those are all pluses to us, but that's not a prime requirement for a candidate that we look for.
And the time. Probably that we will need this kind of people, so that's why we are really interested of what's going on with university and college around here and student, because we have an eye on it. Because in the time, because we're getting in more sophisticated activities with other kind of customer, with box built turnkey product. And for regarding that, we will probably need some skill, different skill in the future.
And the universities are very open to that right now. Clinton Community College, Plattsburgh State, they want to work with businesses. They're asking you, what can we do to train your workers for a new generation of employees?
And it's going to be a challenge for the companies, I guess, in Plattsburgh, because they're all, the economics grow all at the same time for everybody. So everybody's going to be looking for
for the same
employees
people.
for the same people at
Yeah.
the same time, you know. So it's a good thing that they have these programs, and I know they're working very closely with the companies in order to answer these needs that the companies will be having. So.
And while Novabus is your largest customer, do you supply other customers in northern New York or in other parts of the United States?
Well, actually, we have discussion with other big ground transportation manufacturer in Plattsburgh. I don't want to name anybody, but it's easy to see. Canadian company, by the way. But actually, the first topics here was to very clearly establish the line of production for Novabus, get everybody trained for that, and then after we can afford to add some others. We already start. We have built some bicycle renting station for Boston here. We have built
With all of the big Cs for London City actually were built in the Plattsburgh plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Exactly.
So Big C construction.
Yep.
Big C, of course, is the rental bikes that
Yes,
started in
that's it.
Montreal.
Exactly.
Were you involved with that project in Montreal
Yes.
as well?
Yeah.
You
Yes.
were.
Yes.
And these are the stations where the bikes go
Yes.
back.
Yeah,
Yes.
and there was a special wire request, and they have all been built here, and then shipped back in
Shipped to
And
London.
it's
London.
yes,
and
spread out now to London. New York City just kicked it off a few months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so that's part of your operation as well.
yeah.
In Canada, you do some telecommunications and some medical related.
Medical,
products.
other ground transportation is really our stake, but we also are involved in medical and as well as in a large freezer for foods, industrial.
And are you
freezer.
looking to expand into those fields here in the U.S. eventually?
Yep.
But right now the focus is mostly transportation.
Yeah, but more and more we have Canadian customer requesting having some needs to produce in the States, so we have opportunity to open some new account here, a Canadian account here.
Obviously, when Novabus has a good year, when Bombardier has a good year, both of them have in the past couple of years. They've landed some pretty major contracts for Novabus. The last one, up to 450 buses for Chicago over the next couple of years, up to a $225 million deal. Obviously, great news for Novabus. Obviously, great news for your company as well.
Yeah, of course.
That's right. Yeah.
Novabus has maintained about 200 workers and says that will keep those workers on the job. For you, will that maintain your workforce at about 60, or do you see growth?
We will need more
We-
people.
You will
yeah,
need more.
That's
yeah.
for sure. Oh, yeah.
Because they will double the production, and no way we can do
Within
it with
2
60
years
people.
Within 2 years from now, I think we'll be
We'll be
maybe double
probably
that
twice the
they're
size.
in the plan right now.
You
So
know,
possibly from 60 to maybe
Yes.
120 workers.
120
there's
workers.
a possibility with when we see about the market that Plattsburgh became bigger than the Canadian company.
You can see that in the future.
For this project, for
Yeah.
this type of
Yeah.
buses, the market is huge compared to the market
Yeah.
we have in Canada, for sure. So
Just the big suburb of Chicago and the area is equal to all the Canadian market.
It is. So these contracts are that big.
oh
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
very large contracts. Yeah.
And when you look at your growth, when you look at what you'd like to see for the company and where you'd like to go in, say, the next 3 to 5 years, what are you seeing? Right now, you're doing roughly $6 million in U.S.
Yeah,
sales.
a bit
Yeah.
more than that. Yeah,
Yeah.
And
just a bit over.
where do you see yourselves in maybe three to
Well,
5 years?
overall, with the two companies, the targets is really over 30 million. That's the primary goal. We don't know exactly how we're going to end up because we have a new activities related to electric car and electric vehicle, not car but vehicle for niche market and related, and we're going to get in the battery pack business on that, and it's still the future, but we don't know how we're going to end up with that, but that's another, and that's an addition to what our base business around 30 million. So we don't know where we are.
It's hard for now to put a figure on
Yeah.
that number, but it could become also very important in our activities.
Yeah.
Are you having to change your manufacturing at all as more and more municipalities, governments are asking for first hybrid buses and then possibly looking for electric buses in the future.
Exactly. You're just in it. It's the wish of the government, and they're going in this direction. They're ready to invest, and we think that this will come before the individual electric car. Mass transportation will first jump in the electric prior to the individual, because like in Saint Eustache, my typical guy, you have a Ford F-150,
right.
And he said, what are you talking about? I'm not going to have an electric car instead of, but and some niche and some like school bus, transit urban bus, recreational, all those niche, they will jump in electric before all others. We believe.
5 years, 10 years. What do you?
I said you will see some stuff on the market within the next 3 to 5 years.
And do you primarily do the larger vehicles, the buses, or would you do cars as?
No, we don't want to do cars because this is volume. We are not there for volume. We are there for very. How do we mention that?
We say a high mix, low volume business.
Exactly.
This is what we do. So we built. Farron could talk to you about the changes and the.
It's medium to moderate complexity. It's focusing on mass transportation, but only in a low volume, high mix situation. I mean, flexibility is one of the key things that we offer our customers, and we have to offer flexibility because of the high mix of different contracts and different things we may be involved with. So that's I think what we're trying to say is that we're not really into the high volume, low mix type of manufacturing where everything is the same every time. It's a lot more complex than that, where you're looking at multiple contract changes, possibly even over the course of a day.
So now, as you manufacture for Nova Bus, for their smart buses, for their articulated buses, what percentage of a bus has your components, your harnesses and electronics?
Roughly it's between 8 to 12%.
In that range there.
With all the wires and the panel control. I know that except steel, we are one of the two major suppliers. We rank 2 or 3, depending. The first one is, of course, steel.
Right.
But the 2 others, it's us and
so as we look at hybrid buses and electric buses, you would be providing a much greater percentage
of course, because the battery pack is about 1/3 of the bus.
Yeah.
So it's a big chunk.
That is.
Yeah.
Did you choose Clinton County in upstate New York simply because Nova Bus is where it's located, or were there other incentives and reasons that you looked at Plattsburgh?
I'd say it was the main object, but actually when we started all of the steps towards opening a plant here, then we were glad because we had a lot of help, a lot of support, all of it that we could use from Chamber of Commerce, from Development Corporation, from all these people out there that really, really helped us and guided us. So
did New York help out with any type of incentives as far as financing or
training?
Yes.
Training as well.
Training grants, also help on the first investments in machinery. Yes, we did have help.
And that made a big difference.
Oh, yes.
Maybe
really.
Celine can explain that to you, but the first time she met with people here, everybody was at the same table. They put lawyers, a charter accountant,
they
bank,
had everybody around the table,
all around the table,
and offering
one
us
stop.
what service do you need, what support do you need, and we had a lot of that was actually free.
Yeah.
Just really.
And for a new company coming across the border to set up to have that one-stop shopping.
Fantastic. Because it's a kind of stress for us. Are we going to find this or this or this?
And it's also it's not very far away. So, for us, it's easy to transit, to come over for the day, whatever the need is, and to go back home, So it's also very convenient.
Well, and I think the other thing, too, that's worth mentioning specifically, especially with Development Corp and Chamber of Commerce and groups, they continue to support us. So it wasn't just, okay, we'll get your business set up, and then go away. They continue to support us, on a daily basis, keeping us informed, offering us training, offering us the opportunity to sit down with other business leaders in the community and discuss similar problems that we might be having in our production processes. All of these are key benefits to us going forward.
And talking about flexibility, the Development Corp was great, because one of my concerns is that, okay, let's rent 20,000 square feet, but what happens if you know, and they are so open, they say, hey, if you need to double the space, we just take the lease, we sign another lease, and you move, and that's it. No cost, no hidden cost. Very open.
I was just going to ask you about that. If you're growing, if you in fact grow as much as you think you may or would like to, will you have to look for another facility?
No, just a call to the Development Corp.
But eventually, yes. But we still have the option of having a full night shift that we don't have yet. So that using the same space and same equipment, and then we'll see.
But if you did have to look for other space, it looks as if the Development Corporation would step in and say, "What do you need?"
We definitely stay in the area.
We
know we could
we are
find
pretty confident that they will help us. They will always help us.
Well, thank you very much all for coming here. Celine Brunet, also Stefan Baumans, and Farron Fleury. We appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.